So this one's date is 71, and there are no color pictures anywhere. And last checkout, it says January, but I don't know if it was this year or, so probably that one's gonna go.
And we have several, we're not deleting that subject.
Oh, yes, right, because this one, I mean, there's pyramid stuff all around it.
Mhm.
Pyramids, 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 these aren't the only ones. But I wonder, I don't know. Like, it's hard, they look so interesting, but this kind of goes,
No.
it's starting to fall apart. Yeah, probably goes in the same. I just feel like I'm telling them goodbye. I feel guilty. But I know the kids aren't going to pick that up.
No.
Like, that's, now what about this one? I think they use these eyewitness books a lot because they have so many pictures and,
Mhm.
I mean, that's still
That's great.
super helpful.
And I can't afford to
Yeah, just for
replace
that little
just
thing.
for that, no. And they'll still pick it up.
I agree. There's two of this one, but that looks, see, I just think the pictures help them when it's this
Mhm.
kind of thing. Like that, how
How
much
about
is
that
ancient
purple?
Rome
How about that
changed?
purple one?
This one?
Yeah, two
Yeah,
of
there's
that.
two of those. Yeah.
Check the date. That with two of them, we probably don't need. I'd pick the one that was in best shape,
Yeah, we're looking at 74.
and they've not been jumping off the shelf.
No, there's not even a stamp
Obviously.
back here. So this one's wrapped up better, so keep this one
Yeah.
and take this one out. Oh, sorry, what's going on? Okay. Good roll. Oh goodness, this one's probably either going to have to be repaired or go.
It looks pretty bad. It's a shame because it looks like it has good information, but we have other.
Yeah, I mean there are several. This is almost
Right.
the same book right here. Cultural Atlas.
And since the culture class uses culturograms, they don't really use the print books very often.
I wonder though if there would be some pages they could use for like, you know,
To
like
cut up. Or,
yeah, cut up or even take this. Like that's a good little
Mhm.
diagram. And
Mhm.
take that out, laminate it.
Mhm.
That would be neat. That's what I think would be cool is try to find what you could that would be useful
Find
in
homes
them.
for them.
I mean,
yeah.
I know that's super time consuming. Is this
No.
instrument staying in there? Like, is it from age or is it from the weather in the library?
It's from the weather in the library.
She said she has the same problem at the high school.
They cut off the air conditioning.
Mm-hmm. 1975. Not that that makes it all bad, but I don't know. This one's kind of, it's got some great pictures.
What is that one on?
The Romans. It's been checked out a little bit, not a whole lot. I don't know.
It can go. But one of my things is, if it's not going to go, if it has this old-fashioned acetate, this is from the original opening of the library.
Oh.
So when I see those, I try to ditch those too.
Okay.
If nothing else, for health hazard because of all the mold they've accumulated.
So this one is right. I think this one must be in the same series as that other guy. Roman Engineers. It's 1981. I mean, look at the checkouts. Like it's not going anywhere. I'm not touching it. It looks like it has good pictures. I'm going to leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Greeks. I went past this one because I didn't see any other ones about the Olympic Games, so I didn't want to
Yeah.
try to pull that one.
It's an encyclopedia of King Arthur.
Where's that?
Back here.
Oh, the landscapes of King Arthur.
Oh, those are beautiful pictures, but
The track of a magician. Yeah. I bet that one's not being taken out for too many rides.
no.
No, doesn't even have a
Not at all.
card.
No.
Yeah, that's a shame. Is this not even?
That's got to be in the wrong spot.
I was going to say, this isn't even, look at me knowing it's not even properly
Good
shelved.
job.
940. No, well, no. That's so weird. That's got to be the wrong tag, right? Because it's
Yeah.
940.09, but it's Mussolini. That shouldn't be over here.
No, it should not. So you can fix that one. That'll work.
Okay. Well, are we? Oh,
Oh, digits.
yeah.
No.
That's, someone breathes that in, they're going to be sick.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so you're going to start with, since the spine label's already there, you're going to start with the horror sticker for the category.
All right, and just goes right above it.
Mm-hmm.
So did you pick your, like they have stickers for whatever you want, and you just said, I want this category, I want this category, I want this category?
Well, some of these were already pre-chosen, like Ruth had already had them here.
Okay.
And so, but on, like the romance one, we didn't have the romance one on my last campus. We just made our own label of chick lit or books for guys.
Okay.
And we used like the Avery labels and made a little design
Oh,
and put on
okay.
there. We also made a subcategory for like testing and college career ready. So we had pulled those out of the Dewey numbers and made them on a shelf separately
Okay, like a
too.
separate
Mhm.
section.
So they had a separate section. Then you're going to put one of these on there and you just lay it right. They have some that actually fit exactly that size, but they seem to peel off quite quickly. So that's why we don't put those on there.
Makes sense.
The one I just handed you is more for the barcode to cover
Yeah.
it. But like I said, the little ones that we have for that just peel off too fast. Then let me get the other couple things you put on there.
All right. So,
Okay, so there's a couple ways you can do this. Some people, I stamp the front inside page here,
okay.
and then on the back I do
Any-
this, and I just put it down here at the bottom.
Okay. I knew you'd have a way.
And then the very last page in the back.
Okay. Like
right
this
down
hard
there.
page?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, Alice said something about we're supposed to do one in the middle. She said, I don't stamp in the
No.
middle. She said, I stamp the front and the back,
Right.
just like what you said.
And some people will do, we had a stamp that was just like a single line stamp, and they would stamp it on page 100. But,
Yes.
But when you go to delete that book or read that book, now you have to go find page 100 and highlight or
I
cut
think
out
hers
your
was
school
75,
name.
right?
Yeah.
She said, yes, maybe she did do that. Used to. I think she
Used
said
to.
she doesn't do it
Most
anymore.
people don't do it anymore. Now that we have like, I mean, it just depends on what you want to do. But some, and in the past they would stamp it on. Yeah,
You don't do that anymore
I don't
either?
do that anymore.
Okay.
Either. So there's two types. So this is the tattle tape that we put in the books. There's two types. This one is more difficult to use, but I have a bunch of this left. So there's a longer strip that is easier to manage within the book. These you can actually put them one of two ways. You can take it off, put it on the tip of this little rod, and then if your book, so they don't teach you this in libraries.
No, this is what we're supposed to learn from you guys.
If you, on certain books, like see how there's a hole there?
Yes.
So you put the sticky side and hopefully
Oh.
jam it all the way through.
Oh, I
Pull
see.
it out.
All right.
And then you close the book and like hold that against the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you try to pull out that stick without pulling out the...
This is like a
There you
one-person job, huh?
Right.
Seems
that's-
like a two-person job.
That's one way of putting that in
And that's
there.
the machine that we use there?
Yes.
Okay, well, I worked in a bookstore, and they used ones that were like an inch long.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But
this,
they were not in the spine. They were like...
the spine ones won't get peeled out. Like no one, and they're going to pull the book apart before they do that.
Yeah.
Or you can take an easier way, is to take these off. Like I said, they have longer ones, and you just shimmy it down into the crevice, and then pull the green strip off too.
Oh.
So, like for your paperback books that don't have that spine, that's what you do.
Oh.
So, okay.
Yes.
And then it's stamp security. Oh, and the due date. We still do these little due date things in the back, like
Okay.
this.
They're just peel and stick?
Mm-hmm. They're just peel and
On this
stick
side?
on that side. Mm-hmm.
So you don't really attach anything to this?
It just depends on what all is there. Like if there's a lot of writing on that page, then I may switch them out. But
All right.
9
it's done.
times out of 10 it goes, yeah. And that's it. And then it's ready for the shelf. And
Nice.
that's if they come pre-processed. of
Okay.
course.
Yeah, they don't come pre-processed, then
Yeah,
it's
a
all
little
these
bit more
steps
work.
before, right?
Yeah. And they have special covers, like these Mylar covers that you can order and put on them like that. But,
Oh,
look, there you go.
sorry about that.
That's
Okay.
okay. But sometimes if I don't have the Mylar covers, I just, which I don't here on this campus, I'll laminate the covered book jackets and then trim them and fold them so they have a sturdier edge.
Oh, that makes sense.
But this is a pretty Mylar cover that they can come with, which you can buy these, and they're easy to put on.
Are they?
Mm-hmm. But sometimes I don't know, half of one, six, half, whatever that saying is.
Yes.
It just depends on what your budget is and what you have on stock.
Okay.
Like these, I could order the nice long ones, but I mean, I have
You
a
have 'em.
lot of these
Yes.
on stock, so let's just use them.
So what do you do with the long ones? You just stick them in there and then they just trim them?
No, the little strip is in here, so you peel off just the sticky part, you shim it down in here, and then you peel
Oh,
the back part off.
okay.
So it just helps you shim it down in there, and then you peel off a piece.
Got it.
So, but yeah,
That's
it.
cool.
Yay.
Now that we've figured that out, it's 303 pages. And it has
There's the
colored
colon. Yeah.
illustrations. And it is 31 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And is it a part of a series?
I don't believe it is.
No, because it's just, I mean,
It's
that's
a
just,
standalone.
okay. So it's not. And then we'll go to content after that. No, we're done. Yeah. So there's my screen. Here's me. So I want to add copies. And then I'm going to scan the book's barcode right here. All right, and it comes up. And then I'm going to put in the purchase price in case it gets lost, which is $19.99. And then that's the date acquired. Do we need a label? No.
No.
Okay. And then we'll type the call number on there, which we already have a label for. And it's ref 567.9. So take the E out, right? And then it's REF 567.9. All right. And then
What are the letters under?
the DIN. And that goes right after it? So that'll go right after it. Some fancy phone work here. DIN. All right. That's it, right? There's something else.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so save copy.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have it in our library.
Okay.
Barcode, and it's available. Cool.
You have to take it out of the acetate cover. Paperbacks are easiest.
The acetate cover, do you have to send those somewhere? Or you repair those if those
That's
get
why
messed
we
up?
fix them over there.
Oh, okay.
So this one
Okay, so this one's cut in half. So
Okay.
it is going to fit this
that'll
book.
fit. So maybe just have it sticking out. We can go ahead because this takes a little while to heat up.
Oh, okay.
And this, see, all of this goofy will melt, and then we have to pull all this out of here.
So that's what you just
So
cut
this-
it out?
Yes. Well, it'll melt, and it'll be easy to cut out.
Oh,
So
I
this one,
see.
you can go ahead and make the strips for what we got.
Okay.
So, that
So
part's
this one's
done.
going to need, do you do 2 strips on a book like this?
Yeah. And this cover is okay, so we don't have to do anything to it. I'm gonna trim that.
Okay, if it overlaps, would you trim it or would you just,
Yeah, I wouldn't have it overlap or it won't.
I mean, because not overlapped, it's exactly the width.
I'd trim it a little bit.
Okay. Beep, beep, beep.
It's not exact science. Okay, so let's put the paperback down in there.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so put it in and it'll melt. And then it
All right, so we're melting the paperback. And it beeps at you when it's melted? Or you just,
It's a random beeper. It'll beep, and sometimes you have to do 2. And
okay.
it's
So it's heating it from the
sometimes
bottom
it
and melting
overdoes.
the
See,
spine.
this is one that I repaired. It was all totally out of its.
Oh.
And it doesn't look great, but it's a book now.
Oh, yeah, but that's
assortment
'cause
of
that
paper.
covers
'Cause-
plastic, so-
Exactly, so that made it tougher,
Okay.
but it's good to go. Okay, take your ingredient.
Okay, so I'm going to scratch The goo. Oh.
Yeah, it's good. Sometimes it'll peel up. That doesn't look like it has all that much, so you should be okay to put your new one in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is this little bit on there is okay?
All right, let's see. Take it. Place the worn paper back inside the machine for 1 minute. Remove it while holding the book in your 2 hands. Quickly pull the book apart. And
Yeah.
it doesn't say anything about pulling the
Because there's
book out of
barely
that.
any glue in there.
So get your
Okay.
new one in there.
So there's my new glue. And put it in there and then fold it back
Yeah,
over.
it's the exact width and 3 inches shorter than the length of your book spine.
Okay.
Okay, then fold it in and then kind of punch it down. Close the books, and the book pages will probably look much out of alignment. Don't worry, this is okay. Place
Oh,
it back
okay.
in the machine.
I was gonna say that it looks really not.
It won't, and it'll
Okay.
melt, and you'll adjust it in the machine.
Oh.
After the first minute, begin pressing down on the sheets to straighten them so they're in their original position.
Okay. After a minute.
Yes.
So I need to time it, right? Because there's no timer on this thing.
I think it'll be after a minute and
Oh,
30
double
seconds.
tap timer selection.
Yeah, do too, because it's not as hot as it used to be. And give it a minute, and
Oh,
then you
it's still
can start.
saying warm?
Yeah.
Do I have to wait till it says run? No? Okay.
I don't know. I never did. Let me see. Now it's 4 to 6
Both
beats
the
to
wait
signal.
and run lights. will be
Oh,
lit.
okay. All right.
It is ready for book, so we should wait.
Well,
Or
it's
let
not
it-
going to hurt it. Let it sit there. I'm not
Okay.
sure of everything they're running like that. I'll tell you. Tape that we'll put on the
So
outside.
take the inside. As best we could.
Okay. Ooh, that's not my fat stuff. I'm gonna get you some fat stuff.
Oh yes, this
Or
is what
here,
I
this
have.
is
This
better.
book tape.
This is better. This is wider. So this cut to length.
Oh, okay.
Touch to your scissors.
I have them.
Okay.
Oh, and then this just opens up.
Mhm.
Oh, that's nice. So then you
Yeah.
only have to peel one side at a time.
Right.
Smart. Okay,
Both
but
of them. Yeah, it's not going to be exact no matter
Okay.
how you do.
poor guy.
It's
Oh.
still a very popular book, so we need to have copies of
And
it.
what is it? Kill order?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. Oh, it's really convenient. All these little strips.
Mhm. It is.
I've never seen this. And then you'll put the cover back on so they won't
Mhm.
see all the taping.
No, exactly.
Okay.
So see how it feels. Just feel like it's not much dirty.
Yes,
Okay,
it
good deal.
does.
All right, so this is gross, this tape. But the thing itself is in good shape, so you
Yeah.
can replace the tape.
Okay. Where did you get that cover from? Like, did you make it? It comes with it. From the vendor.
This one's messy. I think I made this one. I do spend the money to pay for them to come in processed. Otherwise, they'd be sitting on the shelf, on the cart and unused for months on
Oh,
end.
yes, that's what she was showing me at the high school. She has, like, the previous librarian has a whole, like, processing station, but she has volunteers who'll come in. And so they just move it along the processing station and,
Yeah, and that saves the money, but time is of the essence. And this just sticks out a little bit, so I'm just going to do a little rigging job on it.
okay.
Slide it back
And then
in.
just put it back in and tape it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so with a hardback, you actually need an overlap on the width, so we're gonna cut this, instead of being just the same width as the spine, a little bit more. And then put it in there. This is like the messiest job I've ever done, related to teaching. So, do you think it overlaps or just sticks like that?
Just sticks like that. Looks good.
That's so crazy. I feel like a professional book
Bookbinder.
person. Yeah. Okay, now is this going to be a problem?
No,
This
we
is
probably will
open.
have to tape, but it will glue.
It
It
won't.
will glue.
Okay, I'm worried about it getting glue on that thing.
Oh. That's
No,
fine. Don't
fine.
worry.
Okay.
And same deal.
Okay, don't
You'll
worry
wanna-
about.
yeah.
Don't worry about that. We'll just fix it after it melts. Okay. So fold that back,
Yeah. Then fold the. Here, let me get your
and
broom.
I peel it off, right? Right? I'm gonna.
If it'll come off. See, I don't.
Yeah, it's perforated.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Did you learn about bone folders in library school?
No. I'm about to learn about them now, though.
Bone folder, basic of the library job.
Okay.
Okay, then you pull this down, and you want to make a really tight crease, so you use your bone folder.
Bone folder.
It used to be real bone, now it's just tight.
I was gonna say that sounds a little bit creepy, like I'm folding bones, but it was
Yeah,
made out of
it
bone.
was
Oh,
made out
well,
of
it's. I've got a little lip on there.
Well, you can
Your
fix
end
it.
is. I think your end is better creased than mine. Okay.
You want it flat, so there's no bubbles.
I was trying to think. This is like when I put on stuff on my cake.
Yes. We checked this book in, and it was on hold. So
Okay.
it says this barcode wants it. So just copy
Oh.
that barcode and
Oh, okay.
paste it into.
322767.
I just highlight it. That's how I teach the kids to do it.
Oh, okay. But this says find copy. That's what we want?
Well, we're going to check. It's already checked in, so we're
Okay.
going to copy it and then you paste it to check out.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then find
Find
patron.
that patron, and it's Graciela, and this is the book she wants.
Oh, so it's already pulling her up. Okay,
Mhm.
I see.
So just
So
check
then
it
just.
out to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was already in there.
No, you have to put it physically.
Okay, so now it's checked out to her.
Yes, and then we'll write her name down.
I don't know. Just check it out. I don't know the difference between checking it out and still.
Well, checking in means you are getting it back. Checking out means you want it. Okay, check out. It's officially yours. And then you need to stay if it. Is it on the right date? 10/11? Oh no.
No, it's 2 weeks from today.
Oh, so this one says 10/11.
I give them extra time. Why they have overdues, I don't know.
Nothing is left after an airstrike destroys our apartment in Aleppo. Everything we own is in these backpacks.
These are 3 families.
We're
in
trying to
terrible
reach the border of
situations
Turkey.
that need
And from there, find a
America.
smuggler who can get us into Greece. Once we're there, we can be granted refugee status. If we make it, we'll be safe. If we make it, we'll have a new life and freedom.
You guys, anybody like a good science fiction? Last Day on Mars is very suspenseful. I love it. Earth destroyed already. People have gone to Mars, and now Mars is about to be gone. And that's the first in a series. If you like reading series. Okay, 442 is actually one of, did somebody read it in here? Oh, good. It's actually one of my favorites. 442, historic fiction, a terrible time in our American history. Because after the Japanese bombed away from them, they were treated like they were enemies. These two guys, though, they're born in America, they love America, they really fight for us. so it is very graphic. It's a well-told story. Anybody like Harry Potter type magic? Imperium.
When the cataclysm shattered our world, civilization was left in ruins. From the ashes rose Imperium, an empire where magic reigned supreme. For 3,000 years, the House of Ferrigine has controlled the throne and dominated its rivals. But the dynasty is weakening, and its enemies are closing in. As war looms, the Divine Empress races to develop a secret weapon, her granddaughter. Hazel Ferrigine may be young, but her magic is as strong as her origins are mysterious. Is the princess a light to guide Imperium's future, or a shadow from its darkest past? Not even Hazel can be certain. The dragon might know. A dragon always knows. First, you have to ask.
All right, I have time for one more on this one. This is a funny one. It's a fast read. It's called Slider. You may read this one. It's the smallest one on the list.
David Miller may have an ordinary name, but he has a unique talent.
It's not cooking.
When he accidentally charges $2,000 to his mother's credit card to win an online bid, he has to call on his eating skills to try to make the money back before his mom finds the bill. He just has to win the $5,000 prize for the Pepperoni Bowl Pizza Eating Contest at the Iowa State Fair. As he trains to win, working his way through local food eating contests, things between his two best friends start to get, well, weird. Then, to compound matters, David has to start watching his brother Mal, who has some special needs. David starts to make headway in both eating and communicating with Mal. His plan began to fall apart. Follow David from humorous situations to nauseous competitions in the deliciously crafted Slider by Pete Hotman.
That's a good light read. We won't have time for any more of these today because I want you, does Devin ask, are you going to be able to check out books today? Yes, you are. We're going to get you going. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. Pardon me? Well, then I'm sure that's fine. Just, Ms. Zavala wants you to bring it to class. Am I correct, Mrs. Zavala?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you guys.
Walk up to you and I say I need a book about flowers. It's on there. Yeah.
I have a ghost best friend. Miss Fall, I need to find a book about flowers.
Flowers?
Yeah.
Like local flowers?
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to find the right song living.
It sounds good. That's cool. You can be close enough to get it. So you're gonna go just hello? Yeah. What would I search?
Well, let's try flowers. Probably just pick subject. All right. Do you know, are they specifically, I wonder, a state flower? We don't want that.
No, I would agree about flowers, so I would assume not.
Okay, let's put, it's gonna give us too many, I think. Let's go back up. Try to put Texas in the search. Oh, it's only 16. It's okay, honey. Just put in flowers again. Okay, and then subject. We don't want Puerto Rico. Maybe wildflowers. Probably not creature of moonlight. Let's see our other options.
Wildflowers is it?
Yeah, or maybe even this one, Western region.
But we're in the southern.
Yeah, but sometimes they put us. Oh, here, Texas. and
Whatever
blue.
works, works.
There you go.
All right. Okay. So it is 976.4.
Yeah, you want to write it down? So that's in the nonfiction, and so you just go for that number, and then you want to find with those letters after it, TX. All right, let's go. All right, okay. See if you can find your white flower. You know where the 900s are?
I would assume they're over here.
Yes.
All right, 976 will be further down. All right, 972.
973, 973. I'm thinking, if I'm not there, 976.
6.4.
Sometimes these get a little messy. Weird Texas. I think this is the start of our Texas collection. TX on the end.
A little crazy mess here.
This is just a shelving issue. Okay, you can cut it. You can cut it. Back to our campuses with all this great information, and sometimes we have to remind our teammates and our colleagues that we're learners too, and it's okay if they don't know how to do everything, and they don't need to be intimidated about it, and that we have to acknowledge our ignorance and have confidence and move forward and just know that I have something to learn, and that's totally okay. That's how we learn. And then just to remind them not to be afraid to try. That's how we learn. I have someone at my campus, she's an older lady, which doesn't always mean that you're anti-technology, and she's not anti-technology, she just makes her very nervous. Like she just would rather not because it's unreliable. In her mind, that's how she sees it. And I said, you're not going to break Google. You can't break it. You can hit the back button 800 times, you're going to start over at the beginning. So just remind your colleagues that it is okay. If they don't know how to do it, they're not going to learn how if they don't try it. So Google Forms is a really cool feature of Google, and you compare it with Google Classroom all the time, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about. You can survey or poll your students. You can check for understanding, whether you grade it or not. You can use it as an exit ticket. You can use it for group evaluations, for practice. And there are templates available. So if you go in to create a new form, it'll show you exit ticket, quiz, those kinds of things. And really, once you make your own quiz, you kind of have your own template because you can just duplicate that and then change what you need. The benefits, it's instant feedback for you, the teacher, and for the students. And this is really one of my favorite features, is that you know right away what each kid did individually, you know how your kids did as a whole, as a class, and they know too, if you choose to give them that information. You also have the opportunity to give instant redirection and reteach, and it's individualized. You know, what they missed, you're going to be able to address just those things. Google can grade it for you, and if you don't know how to do that, then you're going to really like this presentation. And it can import to eSchool, and I'll be honest with you, when I heard that you could import grades to eSchool, that's why I learned how to do Google Forms. I was like, hold up, it's going to grade 175, and I'm going to push a couple buttons, and it's going to go in, and I don't have to do it? Sign me up. So that is why I really wanted to learn how to do this. Saves time and paper for you. It's more likely to get makeup work done. I have kids who, if I say come into tutoring, they're not going to come. They're going to eat breakfast, they're going to leave. Even if they're outside till 5 o'clock, they're not going to come to my room. But if I give them a piece of paper and say, hey, read this and take the quiz over it, just when you can at home, it gets done. It may get done at 10:25 at night, but they get it done. So it just gives them more access to get their work taken care of. With Google Classroom, and I'm going to mention that since you've already gone, you can put in different forms. So you can put in a modified copy of the same quiz into Google Classroom, and you just give it to that one student. So if they're in Google Classroom and everyone's taking the same quiz, but she has her modified copy and she has her accommodated copy, you could drop in audio so it's being read to them and nobody has to know what is on her screen. So it's got some really cool things like that you can do. So if you want to do a survey or a poll, when you go to settings and quizzes, you just don't click make this a quiz. So it doesn't grade it. That's how you would do something like that. And I was just trying to brainstorm, like, how can you sell this to your colleagues? When they say, what do I need that for? They could rank books for like literature circles or class reads, like which one do you guys think is the most interesting? Students could self-assess how well they feel, they understand the material. That's a good benefit for you guys as teachers. And then you can look at their test scores and be like, well, you thought you knew it, or whatever it might be. You can ask students to rank activities as you plan for next year, and they can give suggestions regarding changes in activities or like things that you should definitely keep. You know, there's stuff that they love. And it's good to get that feedback as teachers, because if there's something that everyone hates, probably it's just not working. You know, you need to try to find something different. If there's something that everyone loves, you definitely want to make sure you keep it. Students can vote on what pieces to play, sing, what topics to research. I mean, there's just lots of different ways to get student input. And when they're giving input, they have ownership in the classroom. You know, they're connected, they're engaged. And the other thing I like about this is that you're not asking anyone to raise their hand. You know, no one has to see what they think. They're able to do it kind of anonymously. Their peers aren't judging them for what they think or what they like to do. You're like, oh, you like that activity? That's so dumb, that's so boring. But if they did, they can tell you. Then you can do practice. You can do exit tickets, so sample questions, practice problems, and you do have the opportunity to do short answers. So it works just as well for math as it does for real or history or science. And then when you code in your answer, you just put 67 is the answer, and if that's what they type, they get it right. So it doesn't have to be multiple choice if you want to make it a little more challenging without answer choices. It gives you immediate feedback that you can then address immediately with the class. You can look at the results, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then you can say, okay, well, we're not getting this concept, so what do we need to do about that? For exit tickets, you can kind of ask them, like, what did you think about today? What's your takeaway from today? Do you have any questions? Sometimes, we all have those kids who are not willing to raise their hand and ask a question. But they'll type it if they know it's coming just to you, because then they're not going to look dumb in front of anyone, and you can address that individually. Foreign language. I just wanted to address this real quickly because I'm on the Spanish hallway in my building, and she was super excited about doing this Google quiz that was going to grade everything for her, and she came down and she said, some kid told me that they could translate it, and I didn't understand why I had all these hundreds. So, it is great for a practice for foreign language, but not probably for a quiz. What she ended up doing was she had it as a practice, and the kids who cheated, well, that wasn't very good practice. They didn't do so well the next day. I would say if you guys are wanting to just keep emailing Google and telling them, hey, we need you to take this feature off just in the classroom. Like, we need to be able to disable this feature. But for now, it's not. So if you have Spanish, French, whatever, colleagues who are teaching those subjects, just make sure they know that. It's going to give them the option to.
Inventory is not hard. You can do it in sections. Like, you can set it so that you only want to do the biography books if you want to.
Right.
And you can they have handheld scanners. Easiest way for me, and because I always have internet issues or electrical issues, I just do. And I take a laptop with the scanner on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I open up a notepad, like the old school notepad on your Windows accessories. And I label it like biography. And I just start scanning each biography book, or I have a volunteer parent help me scan that section. And then I upload that file into the inventory, and it will tell me if anything's been skipped, missed. I can even go down to like how far out of shelving range is it? Like, should it be 10 books to the left or 10 books to the, like you can pick the things
and it just
you want
uploads
to check.
that information? Like, it doesn't have to be in a certain format, or?
It just needs to be in a Word, or a notepad file. Like this little. Or if I were doing inventory here, I could take and have inventory open on my computer screen and scan as I go, and it'll scan it straight into inventory. Either way, I like to do sections at a time like that. That way it keeps track of where I stopped and started. I haven't, and I could do it so that I can go back and look if a book was skipped or a barcode was misread. I can go back and find that book that was misread, and maybe it belonged to Greenwood, or maybe it belonged to another campus.
Okay.
So it helps me keep track a little bit better. Or maybe it had been marked lost, and so I can go back and say it was found. Or maybe it was still checked out to a student and never got checked out.
And how do you know it's misread? How does it
It'll
show
show
that?
you.
On
It'll
there
show
when
you,
you put it in.
Right. I don't have one open right now, of course.
Okay.
But it would show you down. It gives you a report in your job manager. It will give you a report that says something like inventory report. And you can open it up and it'll show you line by line, like, and I do like a control F, like skipped. And it'll show me all the ones that are skipped. And then I can go back to the shelf and scan them. Why were they skipped?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because it'll give you the book before and the book after, so you would know where it would fall. And students can still check out books when you're doing inventory.
I was just gonna ask you, like, do you always do it at the end of the year after everyone's turned stuff in, or?
I try to do all the books get back in, but you can do inventory any time of the year because you're marking everything in the room unaccounted for. So if a student checks it out, then it's accounted for.
Okay.
The problem that you would have is if you have everything in here unaccounted for, and let's say a teacher comes in and says, "Oh, librarian's not here, but I need these books," and then she walks out with them, it's going to come up missing. It's going to come up as a lost book once you finish your inventory.
Okay.
So as long as no one walks off without checking stuff out, then you're good.
Okay.
But if you have everything unaccounted for and somebody walks out without checking out, then it's going to be a lost book. They might show up later, hopefully.
Yeah, you would hope.
Which a lot of times they do. So that's just, people get real nervous when they do inventory, like, but it's not hard. And you can still run your library as normal. You just have to make sure you're aware of, you may not want an entire class to come in that day and check out. But I just like to do it towards the end of the year because fines are due, exemption forms are due.
It's a good way to clean up.
Clean it out. And your barcodes mean different things. Like this was just, a T was just a temporary barcode. So they would put that on there. And when we had this was our old system before we had Destiny, you would have, your barcode might be like 00001. That was the first book you had in your library. And so you would scan these and you'd have to go in and put all your marked record information in. It was a very tedious process. So then when they came to the 13-digit barcodes, part of your barcode represents your school, and then your other numbers, sometimes they can set them up to represent like a subcategory if you want. I just have a generated barcode list of 13 digits. So when we became a full-fledged high school, Ruth had set up that, and most of our campuses like AHS and Summer Creek and even Kingwood, a lot of them have gone to the barcode that includes their campus name, since we do interlibrary loan. So then you know which campus it goes
That's
to.
this one.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I'm gonna have to look and see. Because I'm pretty sure most of ours still look like that.
They probably still look like this because
Even our new books.
even your new books still look like this because
That's
they
why
can.
I want to look and see.
They can. You have to change them, and you have to call Follett and get a range of numbers.
Okay.
But it's.
And what are those new labels called? So not the T
just-
label.
Not the T label, but the new ones are just, they're like a 14-length character barcode. And they haven't been around that long.
Okay.
Well, I say that long, it feels like yesterday, but they've been around at least 10 years or so.
So you don't change the ones that already have the T on them.
No.
You just leave those.
So, yeah,
Okay.
because that would involve a huge project.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, if I really wanted to. But some of those books, they still work. Okay, so just to start out with the basics, you would be logged in as an administrator when you are in the Destiny system. At 9 o'clock. So if you'll go to circulation, let's just start with the basic check-in, check-out, which you've probably done before, just as a review. So on the left of your screen is where you'll see your check-in and check-out, and we're gonna check this one in. This is was checked out to a teacher. Okay. And it'll show you here where it just read the barcode twice. It'll show you here who it's checked out to. My teachers, I allow them to check out through their due date's not due until the end of the year. So,
But it automatically generates the 2 weeks, or?
no, you can go in and set your faculty as faculty and give them different access levels.
Okay.
So you can set different parameters for your faculty so that they have a longer time. Students, you can go in and set their parameters for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you also go in and set your calendar on this, so that way it doesn't charge them for any holidays, school holidays.
That's smart.
And it generates the date to be the correct 2-week date.
Okay.
So you don't have to keep up with that.
That's nice.
Okay, so then we're going to go back to checkout because I checked a book out to her a while ago, but I didn't have this set up. So I just wrote down the long number.
saw you.
So if you just want to type that one in, and then we'll do a fine copy.
Okay.
has that little hyphen thing on it at the end.
Oh,
Sorry, they're
no,
like,
that's okay. That's actually included in
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yay,
that's
I
her.
just find it.
So yeah, so when books come in, they'll be in the Dropbox here or the Dropbox back there. And then in high school, most of our high schools, I don't know about KMS, if they have the security sensitizer.
We
thing.
don't.
Okay, so in these books they have, and we can look at this too because I have some books that need processing. So
Oh,
I thought
that'd be
that would be a
great.
good thing for you to
Yes.
see today. They
A little
have
strip?
magnetic strip in it. Sometimes they can go down in the spine of the book,
Okay.
and I don't feel like, I feel like in library school, and I'll just say this in the video, but they need like an extra special class for book processing because some of the stuff you don't learn about book processing until you actually have to do it.
Right. Well, and sometimes you don't have anybody around.
Right. And not every, you may not have money in the budget to have every vendor do pre-processing for you. And so you can, if that's money in your budget, you can do unprocessed books. When they come in, they're done, they're ready for shelf ready, but that's not always the case. So what I do is, if I catalog them and get them ready, and then I have my volunteer parents help me finish processing them. But like I
Okay.
said, it just depends on the level of books that I'm getting in. But anyway, there's a magnetic strip in here. So what we do is when it comes back in, we resensitize it, and then when the students check it out, we desensitize it because we
So it
have
doesn't
a,
beep.
doesn't beep.
So is that all high schools do that
No.
and not the middle schools, or?
Most all high schools do, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing going forward with new schools opening. These systems, those security systems, are very expensive, and like ours, I'm not even sure how well it really works.
Oh.
So,
Is it just this door?
So this building was designed so that they come in on this side and they exit on that side. So
Oh.
it's just on this door.
Oh, okay.
And the metal bar things here, those used to have turnstiles.
I was
on them.
to count, right?
Mhm, to
Okay.
count.
I was wondering about that when you said we have a system. I thought it was going to be something.
Oh, no, no, no. It just counts. They used to have the turnstiles on them and they would count. I would like to get rid of at least the ones on this side
Yeah.
just to make it more welcoming and open.
Kind of look like a gate.
Exactly. But there's not any carpet underneath those. And so we've been trying to locate if we have any carpet remnants.
We
That's-
just need a few
Mhm.
circles.
I
It's
just
not.
need- right. Yeah, there's not any carpet under those. And so they've told me if I take them out, then I have to put something down. So.
Well, it could be like elementary, be a special
It's
colored circle.
It's
Yeah.
colored circle.
Go stand on the cool spot.
There we go. So this is how we desensitize. Oh. And it's usually just the spine like that. And you'll hear a click, and that light is supposed to come on. And then desensitize when they leave. Okay. Now I have on the shelving part. Everybody's a little different. I'm very OCD when it comes. It just makes my life easier. We have the category sticker, the genre category that it goes in.
Okay.
So what I do is I break up my shelving carts into those different categories, and then I assign my library aides to shelve a category. So
Okay.
this year I am only teacher of record for 2 library aides. Normally I have one every period. This year I'm not
This is
sure what
having the
happened.
same problem. I don't know. I think she told you. She said y'all had kind of talked about like they have so many. Like in my off period, there's like 4 in the front office.
Yeah.
Why couldn't she have one of
Right.
those?
And so, but I also have teacher of record. I have to take attendance for aides that Mrs. Herbst has.
Oh.
So she has like 1 or 2 aides. I have the 2 during the day. So sometimes, like last year, I think we had, between the 2 of us, we had like 15
Oh wow.
throughout the day.
Probably got a lot more done.
Yeah, so my shelving, I didn't have, my parent volunteers did not help with shelving at all because my library aides did it. And I would break up the categories. I would give them a science, like say science fiction and the 100s. And they would be responsible for going and shelving anything that's here on the shelving cart. And then they'd have to go over to those sections and straighten the shelves. The other thing on a high school campus or even a middle school campus is we have the work-based study programs for special ed students. And sometimes they'll come in and clean off the tables for us, or they'll I'll have them straighten books and make sure everything. I like the books pulled to the front. There's pros and double-edged sword again, pros and cons to that. The con to having your books at the front and looking all nice and trim is that high school students, and I'm sure middle school students would never do this, but they take and put their trash behind the books. So then when you go to reach back there and straighten, you get all kinds of surprises.
Oh, that's disturbing.
Yes, it is. Just very disturbing.
Ours don't stay at the edge. I mean,
Right.
they
They push
but
them
they
back.
put books back there.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
pick it up and put it back there, and you know,
Yeah.
no one's gonna see it. I
No
guess
one's
is
gonna
what they
see it.
think.
And then you can't find it all year.
Yes, it does happen because you're like, it's not anywhere on the shelf, and it says it's checked in. And
Right. So one year we took and pushed all of our books to the back to avoid the trash problem. And then it was, I mean, it just looked, I don't know.
Yeah, because they all stick out at different.
Right. It wasn't uniform across the front. It was.
I like the way it looks. I mean, this looks really appealing.
So it, so that's that. So my library aides would normally take a section and shelve it and make sure that section is straight. But if you have a special population on your campus who's looking for a little work study program thing to do, that's always a good task
That
for
is
them to
good.
do.
Yeah.
Because the shelves they constantly stay out of it. So normally I would say I get them put them back on the shelf in the genre. We attempt to alphabetize them, but because of time, sometimes we're happy just that they get on that part. So that's kind of the way that goes.
Okay.
New books, I try to have new books out. There's not a whole lot of tremendous decoration display spaces, especially since we're upstairs and we don't always have access to that window.
Yeah.
So I try to use the tops of my counters to
I was
do
gonna say,
decorations and walls, and in high school, like, you can make it so much, but like, and it depends on your campus and what you feel like. You walk into some schools and their libraries are like decorated to the hilt, and then other times you walk into a campus and it's kind of like me. Like, I like to put a few decorations out, but I don't want to have to pick it all up too.
I know.
And too, it depends on how many people you have going. Like on my other campus, we had a lot of decorations because there was two of us. So one of us would take the window one month, one of us would take the tops of the bookcases.
You have
so
more
you had more
opportunity.
time and more opportunity to spread that out. And and my parent volunteers are good about helping that decoration go along, but sometimes it just depends on who you have volunteering for you and who wants to, what they want to help you with. So
Yeah.
but it's all good. Okay, so let's look at reports. So if you go back up to the top, just scroll back.
Oh,
up.
sorry, I didn't realize I was down.
So you have reports, and if you go to library reports there on the side, you'll see that, and Destiny and Follett has already set up typical library reports that you would run.
Okay.
And then you can always you can pick if I want.
It's changed a little. You log in using Destiny.
Okay. Oh, she was waiting for it to come up there. There you go. Just your regular username and password.
I'm looking away, don't worry.
Yeah, as long as you don't record her typing, you're okay.
Da-da-da-da.
All right, then go to circulation. No, catalog. All right, and then put the title in, the fall. Should come up with just that. Okay, click on the title.
Well, if you click on the
Okay, see where it says hold it?
picture right there, it does something cool.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Yay.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And then
All
next
she
time it
did
comes
was
in,
click that button. So I accidentally didn't show it, so I.
and the first chapter is called Soul. Be careful. Ashes. If every life is a river, then it's little wonder that we do not even notice the changes that occur until we are far out in the darkest sea. One day you look around and nothing is familiar, not even your own face. My name once meant daughter, granddaughter, friend, sister, beloved. Now those words mean only what their letters spell out. Star in the night sky, truth in the darkness. I have crossed over to a place where I never thought I'd be. I am someone I would have never imagined. A secret, a dream. I am this, body and soul. Burn me, drown me, tell me lies. I will still be who I am. We lived in a tiny village in Spain. It is gone now, but then it was called, in Califlora, the name of the line flower, something bitter and something sweet mixed into one. It was a town that had been my family's home for more than 500 years. A beautiful village in the most beautiful countryside in all of Aragon. It began on a hot day. Thank you. I was out in the garden when I smelled something burning. Not lime flowers, only pure bitterness. Cores, rinds, pits. That was the way it started. That was the way our world disappeared. On the day of the burning, my dearest friend, Catalina, ran into our yard and grabbed my hand, urging me to follow her. Let's run to the plaza, Catalina said. Let's see what's on fire. Catalina was always curious, always fun. She had a laugh that reminded me of the sound of water. She was shorter than I, but even though my grandmother said Catalina's hair was too curly and her nose was too bumpy, I thought we looked like sisters. Catalina and I were so close, nothing could come between us. We had been best friends from the time we were babies. When I looked at my friend, I saw not only the child she'd been and the girl that she was, but also the woman she was about to be. Other girls I knew talked behind your back and smiled at you falsely. Not Catalina. She knew who I was deep inside. I could be lazy sometimes. I believed in true love. I was headstrong and loyal, a friend until the end of time. Because of our jet-colored hair, Catalina and I had been given similar pet names as little girls. I had been called Raven, and Catalina had been Crow. Our birthdays were 1 week apart, and we had at last turned 16. We thought about our futures.
Copies, and they might be on the shelf right now. I am about 30 or 40 pages into my copy, and as soon as I'm done, if you're my student, I'll be happy to loan it to you. Sorry, Miss Mills class. I'm just kidding. I'll loan it to you. We're going to watch a couple of these book trailers. Refugee, I want to point out, is by Alan Gratz. And if you've ever read anything by him, he is phenomenal. He writes a lot of historical fiction. This particular one follows 3 different people in their journey as a refugee throughout different eras in history. Yes, ma'am?
Adam Bidwit is also a fantastic author.
Which one is that?
The Inquisitor's Tale.
The Inquisitor's Tale. Okay, and I'm just going to tell you all this. If Alyssa tells you it's good and you should read it, you should listen to her. She knows what she's talking about. All right. There's a ton of titles, lots of variety. Which one do we want to try first? All right, let's go with Spider-Man. Where have the rest of you been? You're not familiar with it? You don't know what it is? It stands for Reading is Great. Raise your hand if you read one or more of the Rig books last year. All right, keep your hand up. You read 5 or more of the Rig books last year. 10 or more. 15 or more. 20. All right, good deal. There's a couple of you. That's awesome. All right. It is a contest. There are 20 titles, and usually we have a couple of extra titles added to the list. This year, instead of doing that, we've kind of opened it up a little bit more. So there are 20 Rig books, and this is called the Lone Star list. It's very similar to the Blue Bonnet list, except for bigger people like yourselves. If you look at this book, it has a purple Texas on it, and it says 18. That means it was a Rig book last year. You may read any of the Rig books. You can pick up to 2, and those will count for your Rig list reading, along with this year's Rig list. That make sense? This year, it's going to say what number? If this is 18, what's this year's going to be? 19. And the color is going to be yellow. So just as a side note, if you're ever looking for a good book and you just don't know what you want to read, any book that has a Texas on there is going to be a great choice. Because the ones that end up on the Rig book list, like I said, is from the Lone Star list. And that is not something that some random person or librarian or teacher just says, oh yeah, these are good, let's put those on there. There are committees. People submit book titles for an entire year. And then there are committees, probably as many people as are right here. They split up into groups, they read all the books, they discuss them, they evaluate them. So when you get this Lone Star list, it's for real. People who know what they're talking about have said these are good books, all right? So you can't go wrong. It is a contest, and prizes are given for reading 10. If you read 10, what do you get, Miss Brain?
A pencil.
A
You
pencil.
guys are way too better readers to get just to stop
But
at 10.
10 is great, and everybody loves a pencil.
Sure.
Okay. At 15,
It accumulates, right? You get the pencil,
Yep.
and you get to come to the party.
Party. We have prizes, refreshments, awards. There's lots of free books we give out.
They give out free books. I'm not allowed to do this, so I mean, I think you should take advantage of it. And then if you don't want it, you can give me your book. All right, 20. At 20, if you read all of them, then you get the pencil. It's like one of those, like, you know, like it builds up. You get the pencil, and you get to come to the party, and you get the free prizes there. And on top of that, you get entered into a drawing for $50.
$50 bill.
Oh, $50 bill.
Bill.
Actual cash.
Cash. You bet.
Well, some of you are like, I'll read them, and then you sign them. So here's what you do to do this. I'm glad you're excited. This is the RIG reading record. It is not like your RELA assignments. Mrs. Brain's going to take you at your word. So you're going to write what book you wrote. Your parent is going to sign it. And then you're going to turn it into Miss Brain by April 14th. That's when it's due. This is so perfect because you're able to get awards and be in this contest and go to a party. And if you do this, you're going to super help yourself out for your reading assignment, right? You figure 20 books by April, we're looking at about 8 months. So that's 2 books a month. You can do that. And this is a great time for me to tell you that in your classes, you already know that you have 30 minutes a week to read, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to have 10 minutes of silent reading. Well, here's what I found out today. On Tuesdays, from here on out, or until they change their mind, Tuesdays are going to be reading and advisory. So you're going to have about 35 minutes set aside to read. Now, we're all advocating that nobody say like, you don't have a book, you better get your book out. We don't want it to be that.
shorten it with the Google shortener.
Okay,
So,
so
but I have to be in the page,
Yes,
correct?
open a new tab.
All right.
And then copy, like, paste it in there.
Alrighty. So that's there now,
Okay, now hit your shortener.
which is,
That's,
no,
yeah, that's it.
Okay, so that will shorten it, and it will show up down in here somewhere, right?
It's gonna come up in a box.
That's all. Okay, perfect. That'll
And then
make
you
it
can
much,
copy it.
that'll
whenever.
make it much easier. Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that. Okay.
I went to a Region 20 sponsored activity for librarians called Library Resource Roundup. I went to multiple sessions. The first one I went to was called The Power of Collaboration, and it was about how as librarians we need to be considerate of teachers but also prove ourselves valuable to the school. And she said that one of the things we had to do as librarians was to change the perception of us, that we were not just people who were checking in and out books, but that we were technology resources, that we could teach gathering skills in terms of gathering information. And we could also be content leaders because all of us have taught something at some point before we became a librarian, and that we in our own right were skilled instructors. She said sometimes teachers would be reluctant because they themselves have too many responsibilities, or they're just too busy, too involved in what they're doing. They're uninterested in what the library has to offer, and also lack of administrative support. And so she said that a big part of it is just taking that leap and putting yourself out there to work with a few teachers at a time who are willing to let you in, and then let the other teachers see for themselves what that can mean for their classrooms. She said that one of the things that we can do is provide authentic learning experiences, bring students into the library and get them there in a non-graded situation, and something that is not intimidating to them, and that if they associate the library sometimes with those positive experiences, then they'll return for other reasons as well. And essentially that anytime we're doing anything as librarians, we're selling the library. We are trying to get kids to see that it can be beneficial to them. So she was talking about how the different activities we can do can increase student success, that it can increase literacy, increase their informational technology skills, and that these kinds of skills are life skills for them. So she talked about lots of different things she had done with all different teachers, Spanish, history, science, math, and how she had increased library exposure, and she had increased the number of students coming in to use the library. She also reminded us that we could do professional development for the teachers on what we have available, and that we could also do indirect types of instruction like book talk videos, QR codes, and to have author visits. So one of the things that stuck with me is that she was an advocate for stop asking for permission and just do. And I always think that it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. And I think that if you do something without going through all the right channels, but it turns out to be something positive, people are going to want you to keep doing it, and they're going to want you to do more. So sometimes it's just a leap of faith. The next one I went to was called Tell Your Library Story, and it was really about advocacy through annual reports. An annual report seemed kind of boring and mundane to me, but she said she'd use PictoCharts, Bisme, Google Slides, Animoto, Google Sites, anything to catch the attention of her audience, which was central office, campus admin, and the school community. And so one of the things she really focused on, beyond looking at the circulation and those kind of statistical numbers and budget, is what am I doing as a librarian? How many classes have I had in here? How many students have I had in here? How many activities have I been involved in? How much time have I spent planning with teachers? And really prove how she is impacting student success in the classroom. And then through those things, ask for things like involvement in the library budget, an increase in the library budget, etc. But she said you have to prove how you're connecting the library with student growth, how you're connecting the library with the campus improvement plan, and then when you've proven those things, you've got more support for your library program. The next thing I went to was about Texas school library standards and how they're changing and evolving and becoming more like the T-test that the teachers are having to go through, and that a lot of the focus is on what you're doing as a librarian, not just what is your collection like? Finally, I went to a session over the Creative Commons and how that can be used to mark what you've created as your own, and then to give it certain qualifications for how it can be used, and that it's a good place to find images, materials, and videos, and that you can teach your library patrons how to use these kinds of things for projects and social media, and even to spread examples of their own work, because they can create copyrights of their own stuff. And I think that's something that's really important for our kids as they get older, is to realize that they don't want to steal somebody else's stuff, just like they don't want someone to take their own things. She also talked about fair use and gave us some sources that we could use to teach that. So it's all very beneficial and interesting. And so I just wanted you to see them, because you strike me as someone who like, I don't know, when you see that there's like a plan, you like to follow plans.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I thought was really cool about this one, when they rewrote it, they matched it up with T-tests. So it's distinguished, accomplished, proficient, developing, and improvement needed. And, you know, you're always saying like, okay, you're proficient, you're like a rock star teacher, you're doing good, but this is just like other elements that we want you to get to. And I know like everyone really grumbles about it, and when they were talking about these standards, they said it in a similar way, and they said it like, we don't want people who are already doing a good job to feel like there's nowhere for them to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was just interesting, like they're looking at libraries the same way. So like if you're proficient, that's not bad, but there's room for growth, and that's kind of how they, you know, presented it to us, the same way you guys try to do T-tests.
So is there a evaluation that goes along with this? Like teachers are evaluated through T-tests, principals are evaluated through T-tests?
You know, according to this, there's supposed to be like district level people for the library. And as far as I know, and maybe I'm mistaken, like I need to ask Alice this question like very directly, but I don't know that there is like an administrative like library person. I know the librarians meet, and there may be someone who is like over the libraries, but I don't know that we actually have like a certified librarian who is over our district.
We did have someone come talk to us at the beginning of the school year during our Hot Topic strand. And she did my notes are at my house, but she identified herself as over a librarian somehow. And she's either currently at KHS or she was, I believe.
Okay, see, I think that may be what they do. They have like a librarian who's serving as that person. But technically, with like the size of our district, we should have an admin person who does nothing but the libraries. So I don't know. That kind of makes me think that it's not as high up on the importance board as maybe it should be. And there's a lot of research that they have that we've had to look at in our classes and stuff that show like schools with a certified librarian, schools without a certified librarian, and it's like a direct correlation to STAR scores.
Really?
Yes, like schools, I can send it to you, but schools with a certified librarian consistently score higher in reading and even more significantly in writing.
So what do those certified librarians do to help that?
Well, and that's the thing, every librarian is doing something different, and you know, that research is based on the pool that they looked at, right? But just overall, having that certified librarian and the things that they were contributing is what brought those scores up. So that's one of the things I wanted to show you. I just marked a few pages so you could kind of see. And you know, since deep down inside I'd really like to be the librarian here someday, I just thought I'd share this with you. Y'all could kind of see like there are standards for the library, and there's kind of a vision that I have for where I'd like to see our library go. Not that it's not there or working to be there, but just that's where I'd like to see it if I was ever given the opportunity. So there's a bunch, but I'm just pulling out some of them. So this one was, this is 2.4, the school library program offers professional development opportunities. And I thought this was interesting because we have individually at point of need, through collaborative planning, and then in small groups. But to really move up, it's through book studies and PLC, informal classes. I just think that there's more stuff that could be coming out of our library, because I think we may not even fall quite at proficient all the time. And collaborative is kind of this huge word in the library stuff in terms of what a librarian should be doing. And I feel like part of that is not happening like it should in terms of collaboration, but a lot of it has to do with time, because if we have no para in there and not even student aides, like this year I know it's really, really low, it's hard for that librarian to leave to go plan collaboratively with like science or math or history or RELA and still have the library running. So I don't know if that's anything that y'all have ever talked about or considered.
We have talked about it last year. Whenever we talked about what is our vision of a librarian. I don't know if it was last year or the year before last. We did talk about that and ways that our librarian could be involved with the research for the TPSP, the GT project. How do we get them planning across the curriculum? Because there's a way that the librarian can help every single department.
Absolutely.
Every department. And I don't remember if it was last year or the year before last. And then that's whenever we started having our librarian create a vision. What is her vision? What about the arrangement? How do we become more of a 21st century library?
Yeah.
And so we've made some gains.
So it's there on the, y'all are thinking about it, talking about it when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I don't think we've talked about it since then.
Yeah. Well, I know that when we did the TPSP, that lesson, that was such a good experience. And I thought if we had started this, if we had started teaching TPSP with the 6th graders and taught them, like I picked one, it was called FINDS. So it's focus, investigate, notes, develop, and then the last one is SCORE, where you like reflect. So it's essentially everything they did for TPSP. But if they had been taught that in 6th grade world cultures through like 4 just mini lessons, you know, and then they could have done that there, then they would have known that for all of their classes. They could have done projects in any class at all, you know, science, math, history, and use that same process. So I think if we could do something like this where it's like professional development, the librarian gives it to the teachers, here's what FINDS is, here are the steps, and then teach the kids that, like through history, since that's what we're doing TPSP, then I'm just thinking like, imagine what the kids will know by the time they get to the 8th grade and how skilled they'll be at research. So that is what I'd like to see.
And this would be the year to incorporate that, because first year for 6th grade, last year those teachers just wanted to get their feet wet and learn about it, see what it was. Now it's not as intimidated, so they want to push it to the next level, but we've got to make it a collaborative effort.
Yeah. Yeah, so just I think getting them in there and getting those lessons taught, I think would be a really cool thing to happen. And I'm not trying to get more work put on our current librarian. I'm simply talking about a vision for the future. just.
Well, no, it made me think that we've got to see if we've done anything like that, what research we're doing differently.
Okay. And I have
Okay, this is going to the middle school. Alright, and they have requested this book. And I'll just put it in this envelope here. And seal it up. And we'll put it in interoffice mail.
On your student information, they pull 5 fields. They usually pull the student's name, their ID number, maybe their counselor or their house. Their house counselor, and then maybe if you have put in there their English teacher.
Okay.
You have to think about your campus size too. Like at elementary level, it's easy for me to go in and put all of Miss Smith's 2nd grade students.
Right.
Because she has those same 2nd grade students all day long. And I can put them as the homeroom, or her as the homeroom teacher. When you get to middle school students, if you want a teacher to be linked to a group of students, it's usually an English teacher that's going to be linked. When you get to high school, you can link their English teacher, but on a campus of 1,800 students, I'm going to have to link 400 students, physically type in their English teacher's name.
Alice said she does some sort of scanning thing. I don't know what.
She probably prints off their barcodes and scans them through.
That's what she does, or types. I think she, that or I think that's what she does.
You can do it
She
that
was
way.
showing it to me or something.
It just depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
I don't do that. Like I put it on the kid. There's occasionally like a small reading strategies or writing strategies class that if that teacher comes in every single week,
Mhm.
then I can run a report just by that teacher's
Okay.
name if I want to, and give it to the teacher and say, hey, can you remind your students that they have these? I can see where the library school, says that because then they know.
It just seems very impractical, though. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You kind of have to weigh your options, like
Mhm.
what is going to be the best for your campus and your situation, and
Right.
that kind of thing. I don't do that. I don't do it by teacher. What I do is I print a report, and it typically is one that looks like this one. I go to edit. I don't automatically run them because I just want to make sure that my verbiage in there is correct, like my dates are correct, the things I want in there, and I don't want it to be an accident email.
Yeah.
And I don't want an email to be accidentally sent out when I meant to just print something out on paper. So this is an Excel spreadsheet. The format is going to go in Excel, or I can do notices, either one of those. So like
Okay.
if I do Excel spreadsheet, I typically run that one at the end of the year because our principals want to know what their fines are for each of those students before they leave campus. And then that, if they don't pay those fines by the end of the year, it determines if they're exempt from their finals or not. They
Oh.
have to have all their fines paid for.
See, there's so much more motivation in high
Mhm.
school to get everything paid
Right.
because you know they want to exempt.
Right. Or they want to graduate if they're seniors.
Yeah.
So, they want to pick up that diploma because when they graduate on graduation night, they're not handed their diploma. They're just handed a.
I tell my
envelope.
kids this all the time. It's like they really don't go away. So
Yeah.
what about like the elementary and all of that?
Mhm.
Like those are included. Like if they're
Those
on
we-
there, they have to pay.
We tell them, these are here, you need to pay them. And if they're substantial, it depends on the principal, they'll make them pay for it. That's why I try to tell them all the time, like, you have this, you need to
Yeah.
go clear it up.
I'm glad I'm not telling them lies.
No.
Like, no, really.
No, it
they will not
because-
give you your
And if they move
stuff,
campuses, then the thing about Destiny is it follows from campus to campus. So
which is really nice.
now, if they move out of the district and then they come back, sometimes you just kind of have to be aware of that. But which that does happen too. Or they move out of the country and they come back.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So then you can also do notices. So if you click on the notice button at the
Okay.
bottom there and say continue.
All right.
So I've chosen, and you can always follow your cookie crumbs back up here. Because if you hit that back arrow at the top of your window, it's going to make you start all over. So it's always a good idea to follow those cookie crumbs back and forth. So we're looking at active students, we're looking at
So
patrons.
this would mean that they hadn't graduated, right? If they're active.
They're still active in our, they should still be active in our system in some way or reason.
Okay.
I'm looking for materials, regular materials, not like CDs and equipment and that kind of
Okay.
stuff. And then I can also include, if I want, materials that my students have at another school,
Okay.
if I want to. So if I click continue, and I'm going to select all my patrons from A to Z, I could put in there whatever, and then this is where I can put my note to them.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So then I can choose for it to be printed out or emailed or, hey, give me just a couple minutes, okay? I'll be right there.
They want it now.
Oh my goodness, yes. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see, so like let's just do save and run.
Okay.
And then it'll generate in the queue. You can always find library reports on the side. Like you can refresh this list here. There.
Oh, sorry.
Or that's okay. Or you can go to back office and see at the bottom where it says job manager.
Yes.
Okay, those are all the jobs that run, and a lot of these are
Oh.
automatically scheduled. But the ones that we've submitted or I've submitted or
I
you
see
submitted,
that.
you can
Okay.
always. So now here is the one that we just did. And it's probably going to do it by page. Sometimes you can set this up that there's two on a page and I cut them in half and then I deliver them out. And it's a big undertaking.
I was going to say, so how do you deliver them? You have to look up.
So
you deliver to an advisory?
So we don't have advisory anymore.
Oh, right,
and
right.
so see, this is information that's automatically pulled from eSchool, set up by Linda Curry, who oversees our Destiny application. And
oh, excuse me. Hey,
Oh, could I get another ream of paper? The printer's out.
Oh, sure, they're right down there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. And so she has to set that up by what the district decides. So like as librarians, we all get together and say, okay, these are the fields that we want. Any other fields we have to put in manually ourselves.
Okay.
So these are the fields that as a district library whole, we have chosen to put in there. Some of these aren't applicable to me. So what I do is I run this report, and I can look up their ID numbers and get an eSchool and see which class is like first period and deliver it to them. Or you get with your testing coordinator and you run the Microsoft Excel version of this, and then she merges it with her testing database, and she can print these real fast like that with the database that they use. So you could say, can you send this, can you pull up all their second period teachers and run this notice to them? And then she'll print them out, and then I have.
And then it's got the teacher on there.
Yes.
Okay, so do you have the opportunity to add that? Like, you said you could add different fields.
Yes, yes.
Can you,
I can,
like, does Destiny have access, but they don't have access to the schedule, so what fields would you add that would be?
right.
Okay.
The only field that I would add on here is if I wanted to make that small group of like English teachers. And
Okay.
run them that way. Okay, I'm going to close this because the representatives are getting restless out there.
Okay.
And we're going to go just to circulation. All right. And I always reset this. So, if
So
you
there's
want-
nobody up?
Right.
Yeah.
Let me go get this.
Reports today for the 7th graders coming in tomorrow.
Okay.
So you're in reports.
And then current checkouts and fines. Okay, and this stuff is just the way it is.
Right, because it's set.
Okay, and this is.
That's it.
So
Language
when-
arts is how our kids are arranged.
All right, so that means all their fines are just going through their.
Oh, better to not leave a space after, or it may not record right.
Oh, I see.
It's all one. 19/1 to /8.
/8.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
And we went down
Start
there.
a new page for each group, or
No.
Okay.
Price and subtotal.
I don't see a subtotal.
It's underneath phone, I think.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
And then just run report.
Run report.
All right, it takes a little while, so go back and might as well do Thomasino's while we're there.
It'll run while you're.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so patron reports, checkouts and fines.
Right.
Continue. Patron name is language arts. Is hers also, wait,
Yes.
19, and also to 8?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if maybe is that per, how many rosters they have?
Well, it gets us through the whole day. Class 1 through 7.
Okay. Price and subtotal and report.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, both of them are up here. It looks like the first one's complete.
Okay.
So you can view it.
And print?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, only 4. They do not have very many fines. What happens to them when they get to the 8th grade?
I don't know. They lose their minds. Now, you
Do
can
you have to hit refresh?
you can hit refresh or report manager, either one.
There it goes. Okay. 6.
Okay, then we'll have our student aide deliver those to the teachers. So
Okay.
today they can tell the kids what they have out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I keep a card. So like phase 1, these are books that they're going to start. Like they'll make a spine label for me.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll finish the processing. And depending on how many books we have here, depends on how far we get. So like they're kind of labeled here. And this was here,
that makes sense. So it's by phases.
when I came, we had this here because I had like one mom who really is really good at covering the paperback books with like this thick laminate. So that was kind of her thing. And so they would work it up to that point and leave it there. And so they just kind of broke down the processing bit. When I was in elementary, I just did all of this with my library assistant. She and I just worked through it, and we would leave each other notes like a stack.
Oh,
here,
yeah.
this is as far as I've gotten, and then we'd pick up and finish.
Okay.
Go with volunteer moms. This is just a helpful way to utilize them.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Parrish had this. Orders and your barcodes mean different things. Like this was just a T was just a temporary barcode, so they would put that on there. And when we had our this was our old system before we had Destiny. You would have your barcode might be like 00001. That was the first book you had in your library. And so you would scan these, and you'd have to go in and put all your mark record information in. It was a very tedious process. So then when they came to the 13-digit barcodes, part of your barcode represents your school, and then your other numbers, sometimes they can set them up to represent like a subcategory if you want. I just have a generated barcode list of 13 digits. So when we became a full-fledged high school, Ruth had set up that in most of our campuses like AHS and Summer Creek and even Kingwood, a lot of them have gone to the barcode that includes their campus name, since we do interlibrary loan. So then you know which campus it goes back to.
That's this one.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I'm gonna have to look and see. Because I'm pretty sure most of ours still look like that.
They probably still look like this because
Even our new books.
even your new books still look like this because
That's
they
why
can.
I want to look and see.
They can. I mean, you have to change them, and you have to call Follett and get a range of numbers.
Okay.
But you know, it's.
And what are those new labels called? So not the T
just-
label.
Not the T label, but the new ones are just. They're like a 14-length character barcode, and they haven't been around that long.
Okay.
Well, I say that long. It feels like history, but they've been around at least 10 years or so.
So you don't change the ones that already have the T on there.
No.
You just leave those.
No, yeah,
Okay.
because that would involve a huge project.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, you know, if I really wanted to. But some of those books, I mean, they still work. The T barcode still works. And some of those books, I have weeded them out. Like I've gone through and deleted them. And so it wouldn't do me any benefit to change them and then have to delete it anyway.
Right.
In the long run. So, and then I was telling you about the user-defined fields. So these first couple, like first three, are pulled from eSchool. So, and you can go in and assign different ones, but these are, the first three for sure are set by the district as librarians as a whole.
Okay.
And it was kind of comical because I worked so hard to have this one change from counselor to house because it affected Atascocita's campus tremendously when I had to do fine reports.
Oh.
I'd have to look, I mean, it was a nightmare. And so, and the way they wanted it put in their spreadsheet database for the end of the year, it was a true nightmare. So for about a year and a half, I worked with Linda Curry to get this moved to a house, and now I don't even work there anymore. So,
Well, I'm sure it's still easier for them.
yeah, I hope so. I hope they're using it. But anyway, that's...
Are they not in houses here?
Here, no. We're by, we used to be by houses, and then they went alphabet. So like A through such is this counselor and principal, and A through, yeah. But at Atascocita, they had red house, gold house, white house, blue house. You know.
Yeah.
And with 3,600 kids, it was a lot.
It's huge. And it's growing.
I don't know. And then you can change your sound. So like the dings that you hear on the computer, you can make this like sometimes you can. Sometimes one time I changed it to like incoming message, so you would read the screen to know that that book was on hold, or there was a fine, or you know there was some reason for that. Site information here. This is where you can find your site customer number, which is important when you call Follett because you'll have to know. They'll say, what's your site number? They won't talk to you unless you know it. And that's just in the back office under site information. And then you can have refund alerts, receipts, those kinds of things.
And those are just programmed in so that when they pay, and that's when they pay through RevTrack? Or is that
this is
prints
if I
out what
print
you
out
get?
a receipt.
Okay.
And inventory is on here too. So, like you can see completed inventories. So these, I went through and I like to do inventory every year because, like I said, if I'm going to have to tell a parent that they owe $20 for a book, I want to make sure it's not in here. Inventory is not hard. You can do it in sections. Like you can set it so that you only want to do the biography books if you want to.
Right.
And you can they have handheld scanners. Easiest way for me, and because I always have internet issues or electrical issues, I just do. And I take a laptop with the scanner on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I open up a notepad, like the old school notepad on your Windows accessories. And I label it like biography. And I just start scanning each biography book, or I have a volunteer parent help me scan that section. And then I upload that file into the inventory, and it will tell me if anything's been skipped, missed. I can even go down to like how far out of shelving range is it? Like, should it be 10 books to the left or 10 books to, like you can pick the things
And it just
you want
uploads
to check.
that information? Like it doesn't have to be in a certain format, or?
It just needs to be in a Word, or excuse me, a notepad file. You know, like this little. Or if I were doing inventory here, I could take and have inventory open on my computer screen and scan as I go, and it'll scan it straight into inventory. Either way, I like to do sections at a time like that. That way it keeps track of where I stopped and started. I haven't, and I could do it so that I can go back and look if a book was skipped or a barcode was misread. I can go back and find that book that was misread, and maybe it belonged to Creekwood, or maybe it belonged to another campus.
Okay.
So it helps me keep track a little bit better. Or maybe it had been marked lost, and so I can go back and say it was found. Or maybe it was still checked out to a student and never got checked back.
And how will you know it's misread? How does it
It'll
show
show
that?
you.
On
It'll
there
show
when
you,
you put it in.
Right. I don't have one open right now, of course.
Okay.
But it would show you down. It gives you a report in your job manager. It will give you a report that says something like inventory report. And you
Okay.
can open it up and it'll show you line by line, like, and I do like a control F, like skipped. And it'll show me all the ones that are skipped. And then I can go back to the shelf and scan them. Why were they skipped?
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Because it'll give you the book before and the book after, so you would know where it would fall. And students can still check out books when you're doing inventory.
I was just going to ask you, like, do you always do it at the end of the year after everyone's turned stuff in, or?
I try to do all the books get back in, but you can do inventory any time of the year, because you're marking everything within the room unaccounted for. So if a student checks it out, then it's accounted for.
Okay.
The problem that you would have is if you have everything in here unaccounted for, and let's say a teacher comes in and says, oh, librarian's not here, but I need these books, and then she walks out with them, it's going to come up missing. It's going to come up as a lost book once you finish your inventory.
Okay.
So as long as no one walks off without checking stuff out, then you're good.
Okay.
But if you have everything unaccounted for and somebody walks out without checking out, then it's going to be a lost book. They might show up later, hopefully.
Yeah, you would hope.
Which a lot of times they do. So that's just, people get real nervous when they do inventory, like, but it's not hard. And you can still run your library as normal. You just have to make sure you're aware of, you may not want an entire class to come in that day and check it out. But I just like to do it towards the end of the year, because fines are due, exemption forms are due.
It's a good way to clean up.
Clean up, make sure stuff's getting, they have to clean out the lockers.
Right.
There's lots of stuff gets turned back in. So those are just some things. Access levels, whatever that.
Do you have classes come in, like, just to check out?
I
like
do.
That?
So last year I had a reading strategies class that came in to check out, and they came in every 2 weeks. And their teacher was really good about it. Like, he was always like, I want them to have a book to read, like we read in class. So we have a section of books that are high-low. So that's kind of the direction he went. And they would come in and I would do a book talk with them occasionally, try to get them interested in something.
Oh, yeah?
Second place can choose. The other Angry Bird, okay.
Angry Bird, you could pick one.
One of those, okay.
And this one goes to the